Monkey here in Montgomery, Alabama. Standing here, you can see the star. I'm standing right above it, placed by the United Daughters of the Confederacy, marking the place where Jefferson Davis, former senator from Mississippi, Secretary of War, was sworn in as the President of the Confederate States of America on February 18th, 1861. Davis took with that pledge executive authority over the 7 Deep South states that had seceded from the Union by that time. Of course, four more would join those, the 4 other slave states would join the original 7 states to form the Confederate States of America, which would go to war against the United States beginning in the early summer of 1861. This today is the beautiful neoclassical capital of Alabama, here in downtown Montgomery. Of course, it's the functioning state capital today. So it's a real irony that this marker for Jefferson Davis, the location where he was sworn in, swearing to protect the Constitution of the new Confederate States of America, a regime committed to the perpetuation of slavery. Alexander Stephens, Davis's vice president, would say that slavery was the cornerstone of the Confederate States of America. And of course, that was Davis was the first and only president of the Confederacy. Montgomery would be occupied by Union forces within a few years, and Alabama, along with the rest of the South, would surrender to the forces of the United States. But not that day. It was a glamorous day. The band played Dixie, and Davis was greeted with cheers, with prayers, with plaudits, with flowers. He took over a rebel government committed to declaring independence from the United States. If you turn to the northwest, the backside of the Jefferson Davis statue, which shows the states of the Confederate States of America around him. It's funny to have a statue of Mississippi statesman here in the capital of Alabama. Nonetheless, there it is, the backside of Jefferson Davis. And what's even a little bit more ironic is along the street here that runs in front of the state capitol are markers to various black Alabamians who would serve in the Alabama government during Reconstruction, the period after the Civil War was over. On the left there, a marker there, and on the right, a marker of the birth of the Civil Rights Movement, which was launched here by Martin Luther King. You can see here on the left the orange building with the cupola there. That is the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church, the home church of Martin Luther King, from which he would launch his leadership of the Civil Rights Movement. Further down the avenue here, this is Dexter Avenue. On the right-hand side at the end of the street is a new marker placed by the Alabama Historical Commission, marking the bus stop where Rosa Parks got on that bus in 1955 and refused to move to the back. And it galvanized the Montgomery bus boycott and was a landmark event in the Civil Rights Movement in the United States. So lots of ironies here in Montgomery, Alabama. There used to be a billboard. I'm not sure it's there anymore. Coming into Montgomery, I loved it. It said, "Visit Montgomery, the birthplace of both the Confederate States of America and the Civil Rights Movement." So irony abounds. So just an epilogue to the little presentation there in front of the Alabama State Capitol steps just a moment ago. This huge Confederate monument is here, I guess, to the north of the Capitol, Alabama State Capitol. You can see here different branches of the military, the monument to the Confederate soldiers there. Still very dignified, solemn tribute to the fallen patriots of the Confederacy, men who fought and died bravely in the cause, something that's not terribly politically correct in America now. Of course, there's been a lot of controversy over Confederate monuments, whether they should still be still in public space, but it certainly does still exist here, right next to the Alabama Capitol. You'll see here the cornerstone, if you can get a close-up of that, the cornerstone of this Confederate monument laid by Jefferson Davis, President of the Confederate States of America, April 29th, 1886. And of course, in the late 19th century was the heyday of the kind of glorification of the Confederacy, the beginning of the kind of mythology of the lost cause. Davis, strangely enough, was something of a hero, a folk hero, not only in the South but also of the North. He was he survived what you might have expected to happen to a traitor at the end of the Civil War on the losing side, and he lived out his days kind of writing his memoirs and justifying the war of the rebellion on constitutional grounds. So another legacy of the Civil War here, the memory of the Confederacy in place in Montgomery.